Yes, we are live once again on the clinic with Oluwatosin Oladimeji Ladipo. And I'm sure all our viewers at home have been waiting because we said we are going to start a new series today. Yes, not this week, today. You're starting today. We ended the Girl Child series last Sunday, and on that series was, in fact, very inspiring, very impactful with all the guests that we had online coming up every Sunday for the series to impart us with their wisdom, with their understanding, with their experiences. It was really, really helpful. And I must say a big thank you to all of them. Wherever they are, I'm sure they can hear me now. I'm saying a big thank you for coming online to impact us, for the honor you've given to us, you gave to us. I really appreciate all of you. And today, like I said, that we are starting a new series on the boy child. A lot of people have asked me, Tosin, posted something today? Yes, not today. Yesterday, I actually posted something yesterday about the boy child, that the present men that we have, today's men that we have, were actually raised by women. We are the boys that were raised by women. So how come women are complaining about men? Men are this, men are that, men are this, men are that. Because the women actually raised the boys that became today's men. So we are going to start this series today. We want to know the perspective of mothers to raising a boy child. That is what we'll be discussing today. Mother's perspective of raising a boy child. And I have three mothers as my guests today. Three mothers. Let me bring them on one by one. I'm sure you are really, really hoping to see them. Yes. Let me start with the first person. Her name is Mrs. Bukola Oche. Well, popularly known as Buki Oche. I call her Buki Oche. A lot of people call her Buki Oche, but she's Mrs. Bukola Oche. And she's a banker. For several years, she has been a banker all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. Please help me to welcome Mrs. Bukola Oche. Bukola Oche, how are you today? Are you fine?
I'm good. I'm good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm very well too. It's nice having you today. It's nice having you. Now, let me bring on again our second guest in person of Mrs. Adejoke Orimolade. She's a nutrition specialist. Yes, that is what she is. She is a nutrition specialist all the way from Texas, USA. That is what she is. So let me bring her on board. She's also a mother with 4 children, 4 boys. Buki is a mother of 2 boys, while Adejoke Orimolade is the mother of 4 boys. You can see that we are prepared for today's program. Now I'm bringing in our last guest, the third guest that we are having this evening. Her name is Lola Bamidele. She's also a mother of 2 boys. She is a mother of 2 boys. Somebody ahead. She is a mother of 2 boys, and she's a tax administrator all the way from Newcastle, United Kingdom. Please help me to welcome Mrs. Bamidele. Oh, Mrs. Bamidele, I'm coming. I'm trying to bring that on. Yes, she's on now. Yes, and now I have my 3 guests. What is happening? The echo today, whether you like it or not, we are going to have this program. We are going to have this program. These are my 3 guests today. Buki Oche, Lola Bamidele, and Adejoke Orimolade. They are the 3 guests we're having today. You know what? Maybe for me to minimize the echo, because I really don't know where it's coming from. Let me just take you people one by one. Is the echo okay now? Is it fine?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I can take you people one by one. Maybe it will be fine. Now, Buki, would you like to tell us about yourself? Who Buki is?
Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone from here. Nigeria, it's evening. I know it's afternoon, morning, some other places. My name is Bukola Oche. Actually, it's called Ode, not Oche, as some people do call it. I'm a banker. I'm a banker and a mother. Firstly, I'm a child of God. I'm a Christian. So basically, what else do you want to know about me? I'm just as simple as I am. That's me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Buki. It's nice having you around. Now, let me ask Adejoke, who she is. Let her tell us more about herself. Now, Adejoke Orimolade, would you like to tell us more about yourself, ma'am?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. Good day. My name is Adejoke Orimolade. It's a great honor to be in this program today. And I'm, like you said, I'm a nutrition specialist. I work in a school district in Texas, and I have 4 lovely boys, 19, 17, 16, and 6 years. So,
Wow.
and to the glory of God, I'm happily married, and I'm a child of God.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are really prepared for tonight's program. Now let's take from Lola Bamidele. We really love to know who she is.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. So for me, Bamidele, you can see my name, see my screen. I'm a Christian. To start, I'm a mom of boys. Oldest is 9 years and the youngest is years. So what to know about me? I really love children. I love teaching children, teacher in church as well. So it's something I enjoy working with children. So I live in Newcastle here, family with my children, and I know our host. I know her through. So it's an honor to be here to invite you to join the program today.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Bamidele. But I guess the echo is from you, really.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I'm going to myself then.
Okay, I think it's from you. Now we have some questions of our guests this evening. We have questions for them. I would like to take them one by one. Now I'm bringing in our first guest. The first question is, are there distinctive behavioral patterns that boys exhibit when growing up, and how can mothers be aware? Distinctive behavioral patterns.
Okay. Basically, what I want to say is most of the behaviors that children display at the early stage, my kids are actually at the early stage. I have a 5 years old, and I have a 7 who is going to 8. So basically, at that stage, the behavioral patterns are sort of similar until when they start to grow. So I would say a bit about how the differences, like a year 2, a child that is just 2 years, his behavioral pattern is just trying to copy adults. Whatever adult is doing, he wants to do, the adult is doing this, Have you ever wondered that how can a child just learn how to speak by looking at the mouth of somebody? They pick those traits from the adults. And then from year 3, they start to express many emotions. That's when they know when they need to, to pity people, all those things. And they want to begin to dress themselves. You want to dress them and say, no, I want to do it myself, mommy, let me do it myself. And even if you struggle with them, they will do it the wrong way, but they just want to do it themselves. So at that age, you just have to leave them to express themselves, because that's what they are supposed to be doing at that age. At year 4, they prefer they try to play with people, social play than solo than to play. They just like to play with friends, play with people around, So that's the traits at that year 4. At year 5, they like to please their friends. So when you see a child that at year 5, he just wants to do things that will make his friend happy. That is the trait at that age. That's what he's supposed to do. He wants to do, because he believes that he's supposed to make the friend, he's supposed to impress his friends somehow. So at that age, those are the things that they tend to display. At year 6, I'm going to say it up to the point where my kids are, then maybe I could pick a bit from this. But year 6, they try to identify themselves in terms of groups, like you see a child saying, I'm a year 1 grader or something. They just want to associate themselves to a kind of club, a group, just to associate themselves. And then they start to understand the fact that there is something called competition. They look at their friends in their clique. I want to draw something out of here. Sorry, my son asked me a question recently. He said, Mommy, are we rich? I said, of course, we are rich. What do you mean by are we rich? Who asked you that question? Are you rich? He said, because my friend is very rich. I said, yes, you are rich, very rich too. You're a child of a very rich God, you know? So, you know, kids, they just want to discuss those kind of things in school. They want to see if they measure up to their mates at that very tender age of 6. And then at that point, they become so aware of what competition is about, and they like to talk a lot. At that age, they start to talk a lot. They ask a lot of questions. You have to give them a listening ear. So at that point, it's very critical for a parent to be the best friend to your child, because that's where you get to know his secrets from the tender age of 6. Because you start to spill a lot of things that happens in school, and also that age, you need to 6, 7, 8, 9. From there, they pick it up by 13. Then a child has his first ejaculation. He asks a lot of questions. And that's why I always say that, I always believe that a child that is raised by maybe a single mother should be able, if the mother should find somebody that is like a father figure or a male that can be able to like instruct him, that maybe your brother, or maybe your brother that you're close to, that you feel that can actually be able to encourage the child in that. Because those kind of questions they ask sometimes could sound a bit embarrassing, but for somebody who is a family member, could be able to express and explain to them in the details, such that they don't feel like, oh, what is happening to them is out of this world. They just know that it is natural. So from that age 13, it's actually critical. I'm going to leave that for our sister who has age 16 to take it up.
Thank you so much. I was thinking about cutting you that, please just hold it. Let me bring in Bamidele, because it's as if our own children, they are of the same age group as yours. So let me just bring her on for her to tell us more about that. Mrs. Bamidele, we want to hear from you. We can hear you. Mute yourself.
Thank you very much, Sis, and thank you very much, Mrs. Book. You've actually covered all the point for children's age, because the younger 7 and is 9. So the other point I'm going to hit is still talking about the question that boy. So I'll have to say that boys tend to externalize emotion, sometimes physical acts. So sometimes, take for instance now, if you take to go and play football, when they're playing football, if you pass to them, they tend to get frustrated and kicking other children, or getting frustrated. They tend to show their without verbalizing. So for they show physical behavior. They don't tend to actually let people through the words they say. What they don't say, what they actually fucking they act by people think label boys aggressive or hyper or very active, but it's just the way they express. Boys are physical. It's now left for us as mutually nurture them and nurse them and let them know that actually there are better ways to express yourself. There are better ways to express this emotion. Better way to show feeling. Why not about it? So I know it's hard to talk to them. So why not sit them down and them that this you're frustrated. Oh, you're not happy. Why not just sit down about it? If you're not happy about it, there are better ways to yourself than just being physical, snatching things from people, kicking people, or just being physically. So I think my sister had all the point I wanted to mention about behavioral pattern in that age. I'll just hand over to the next person.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bamidele. I really love what you said about being physical, but it's not left for mothers for them to really see and pay attention to this physical, because sometimes they feel, they are so aggressive. You understand? And it's not that they are aggressive, it's just the nature. So thank you so much. Now let's hear from Mrs. Orimolade.
Thank you, everybody. Yes, I agree with most of the points. As they grow, they exhibit this ego, They see you, especially even to their mother, they want to feel superior. You are a lady, you are a woman, I tend to understand it by my husband. because we used to have issue. But my husband has to tell me that, you see, this guy, they are growing and they see themselves as a man in the house. So by so doing, I tend to understand that, okay, it's not like before that we tell them, do this now. So we have to dialogue. Okay, we have this to be done. When do you think you can do it? Mommy, we do it next week. No, let's do it this week, between now and Wednesday. So we dialogue, we reach a point. Not that I don't impose things on them now. Because then when I used to impose that I want this done now, it's always cause issues. So my husband have to sit me down that this guy going. Then I discovered that they find it difficult to get organized. You know, they just do things. I said, no, life is not like that. You have to organize, make a list of what you want to do, how to organize your room, how to do this. So I start telling them that no, you can't just wake up and say, you know, when you wake up, plan your day. What do you want to achieve for the day? So, and they show more interest in game. And that game, I use it as to my own advantage. If I ask you to do this, you don't do it, then there is no game.
Okay.
If your school said you are going for any competition, if you don't do this, mommy, we have a game. No, you can't go. You have to do this. You see them, what they can't do in 2 hours ordinarily, because they have game, they'll be able to do it within 30 minutes. And I'll tell them, if you do it, I'm coming to inspect. If it's not well done, then no game. So those are the things. But by and large, when you need to study them, when you are far away from them, there is no way you can know their behavioral pattern until you are close to them. By the time you study them, you'll be able to identify everything, because they differ. The way A will exhibit is different from the way B, so you'll be able to manage them in their own different ways. Thank
you so much, Mrs. Orimolade. In fact, this tonight's topic is really, really very interesting. And I'm getting a lot from Mrs. Orimolade. Said they are so, they have ego. Yes, you will see ego in them. But there is sometimes Mrs. Bamidele said something, they are physical. Yes. Oh, in fact, and both of them said something that, well, not both of them, the three of them said something that you have to listen to them. You have to pay attention for you to know the direction at which your children are tilting to. I really love that. Now, I want to stop Mrs. Orimolade, because the answer she gave now is in line with our second question. And the question is, what are the emotional needs of a growing boy that only mothers can feel? Because she said that because there is a particular trait she has noticed in her children, that is game, and she is using it to her own advantage. That is it. Now, how can we feel? How can a mother feel the emotional needs of a growing boy as they are growing? How can you feel their emotional needs? Let's start from you, because you started it. So let's start from you before we hear from others.
Yes, emotional needs, you know, in terms of the emotion that transcend between mother and children ordinarily, you know. Yes, there is this bond between mother and a boy or a child anyhow. So for you to maintain the emotional need, for you to develop it the more, you need to be there for them. You need to be there to watch them when they, you know, by the time they are doing something good, you need to applaud them. And by the time you discover any weak points, I'm always very sincere with my children. I will tell them, yes, this weak point, you pick it from me. I'm always very sincere with them. Your daddy don't exhibit this, you pick it from me. And this is the way I'm able to get out of it. You know, I always and children like when you are sincere with them, honestly. When you tell them, you know, most of the time why we have issue with them is that you cannot hide from them. I can tell you that I'm good, I'm this, I'm that, but they live with me, they know me. If I'm good, they know. So by the time they see that you are really what you said, you are really what you said you are, they begin to trust you. So you begin to develop their emotion in that, their feelings. Most of the time I tell them, they will laugh. I say, I know you. They say, Mommy, how do you know? How do you know? You know, I've studied all of them, and I can, to some extent, predict them that, oh, I know you can do, even when they are going, when in their younger age in school. Any class, any of my child is, we are there together. All their teachers know me. We are there together. I will tell them, if you tell me this is, some school that your child can read, I say, no, I know the ability. He cannot read this, he cannot read that. So that's it. So by the time you spend time with them, you know their emotion, you'll be able to predict their feelings. Why is this child withdrawing? You can't just be shouting. Oh, when you shout and shout, if you don't get the root cause, the child will continue. So that's it. By the time you spend time with them, you know their emotional feelings, and when they are doing something that is good, you'll be able to applaud them, and when they are doing the other way, you'll be able to control them. So
Thank
that's
you
it.
so much, Mrs. Orimolade. You learn to listen to your children. Be sincere with your children. That was what she said. Be sincere with your children, and you get to know them very well. Thank you so much. Now let me hear from Mrs. Oche. Let's hear from you.
Okay.
How can you feel
Okay.
emotional?
I'm going to, yes, I'm going to cite some example, just a short example to draw light on this. One thing I do with my kids, if they're watching cartoon, I watch with them. I naturally don't like cartoons. As a matter of fact, growing up, I never used to watch cartoon. I was like, why would I be watching fake when I can watch the original? As you see the human beings acting. So cartoon was never my thing. But because I see the interest my kids develop with this cartoon, and I know that there are a lot of cartoons that you really need to send, you need to go through them to be sure if it is right for them. So I watch, I sit down, I watch, I know where they pick those characters from. I know where they pick, because my little boy, he has this British internet. I don't know where he got it from, he wasn't born there, but I know he got it from all these things he watches. So I try to picture where do they get all this stuff from and all these things. I watch the cartoons with them. And also when they are trying to express themselves, I don't shut them down. Like if my child is saying, Mommy, there's something I'll tell you, I say, okay. Even if I'm busy, no matter how busy I am, I'll listen and say, really? Even if I'm not hearing them, I just keep nodding. Okay, wow, that's great. I just give them all of that to make them feel good. Sometimes I barely maybe heard only half of what they said, but I just encourage them to speak. Because I noticed that sometimes my bigger boy, when he comes to home from school and he wants to tell me things, say, Mommy, I want to tell you this. And I say, okay, what is it? He said, don't worry. I say, no. For you telling me not to worry, that makes me to worry, because you really need to tell me. And because I've always wanted to know who their best friends are. When they come back from school, I'll say, oh, how is your best friend? How is this person? So it happened that there was one particular day, he told me his best friend had been moved from his class. So I wanted to know the new best friend because I noticed a new trait in him. And so I asked him, who's your new best friend now? And then he mentioned someone. And I know that the day the guy came to the class, the things he said about the boy, that the boy used to say, I felt it was way above his age. He was too mature for his age. The things he says, I feel there are things that adults should be discussing. So I felt if he's treating this one as a best friend, there's a problem. So I asked him, okay, well, when you have a best friend, I didn't even tell him it was a bad thing. I said, okay, so when you want to choose a best friend, there are things that you should think about. You should like some specific things about that person. So what are the specific things that you like about him? He stood there, couldn't say anything. I said, okay, I gave him a piece of paper, go and write it down, just in case you can't tell me. And he came back with an empty paper. I said, Mommy, it's just that he always tell me to use my inner mind. I said, oh, that is ridiculous. He cannot be telling you to use your inner mind. Inner mind to do what? That I feel that is not right, because there is nothing you can pick from that inner mind. So I now have to sit him down and instruct him and all that. So sometimes, if you don't listen well to these kids' emotion, to what they say, if you don't allow them to express themselves to the fullest, then the problem is always the problem is there, as in they say it out, but it's only if you are able to allow them to express it fully. That's when you would be able to pick up all of it.
Thank you so much, Buki. Thank you so much. Mr. Orimolade said you should be sincere with your children. Mrs. Oche said you should be attentive to your children and allow them to express themselves. Thank you so much. Now let's hear from Mrs. Bamidele.
Yeah, he's on. Can I check? Is the echo gone from my side?
A little. Continue.
Really? I don't know where the episode. So how can the emotional needs of a boy? So for me, I think the way I've been trying to meet the emotions of my children is by good listener to them. So what I do is usually at bedtime when they're in bed after devotions and all that, sit down with them individually. So I try to create time for them separately. Children, yes, they are our children, but they should be raised as an individual, not together. So with them individually. So we go we talk about it. Is actually paying attention. She's listening. Even as when they come to talk. I put down my phone, even if it is minutes out of the busyness, even if it is just 1 minute. I sit down, they fully focused on them, you know. I don't with it. When we're driving, when we're talking, switch off the music so that I'm hear them. They know I'm listening to them. You know, the kind of response they want from the mom is not just half. The mom is not just half listening. So I think one of the ways to meet the emotional needs is to actually listen and not listening. To listen, so that we're happy for them. Because as they are growing up, if you don't listen to them, find people out there that will listen to them. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I need to remember a song they taught me in primary school. Parents, listen to your children. We are the leaders of tomorrow. Try to pay our school fees and give us education. That was a song they taught us that parents should listen to their children. Anyway, that was a song we learned. I learned as a small girl in primary school. Thank you so much, Mrs. Bamidele. You said that you should listen to your children, full attention, listen to them, and allow them to express themselves. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now to our next question. I guess I'm starting that with you now. The next question is, what disciplinary role should a mother play in the life of a growing boy?
Yeah, disciplinary role that a mother should play. It's about discipline here. Yeah. So the first thing I would say here is a mother should be a teacher to their children. So you live by example. You're telling your children, don't talk while you're eating. And you're not teaching them anything, you're not disciplining them. So I think the point here, be a teacher yourself, be an example. That's how to teach them. Then also I'll talk about whatever form of discipline using raise up whatever kind of discipline in place. Some people they use time out, some take out time, whatever kind of discipline using to be consistent with that you're consistent with the discipline you're using. We say the effect of it, because you can't tell a child sit down and you're not looking at the child actually does what you've told the child to do. Because I've noticed with my children, what really works with them is that when I talk and if I follow through with what I've asked them to do, then they actually do it. But if I ask them that do this thing and I'm not even looking. But actually, they know when we do listen, when we do pay attention, ask them to do something. They know I will actually follow through. It has helped them. It has helped us to put discipline. So being consistent in whatever you're doing. When they says go and do this, if you don't do it, it's repack end of it. No, mommy will just say about it. She's not going to do anything about it. Following through, let your children know that you're consistent. Your yes is yes, no is no. Mommy is not just and no action. Mommy says something, she does it. So follow through, being consistent, and be a teacher to your children. Whatever you do, don't do otherwise, because they are watching, learning from hosts. The kind of words they use. If you're telling them say this kind of, you're saying it on phone to your friends or family members. They are watching us. They are learning. So first and foremost, children should learn from their parents. They are learning from us. So in any way, whatever we do, our actions are going to impact our children.
Thank you so much. You must be first and foremost be a teacher to your children. Whatever you do, they are copying you. Thank you so much. And you must be consistent. That is exactly what you say. You must be consistent. Thank you so much. I'm really learning too. Thank you. Now let's hear from Mrs. Orimolade.
Yeah, disciplinary rules, like she said, you must be a role model. When you tell your child don't do this, then you cannot do it also. And at the same time, you have to communicate to them. If you do this, these are the consequences of what will happen. Of recent, I was telling my children, do you know what is child support? They say, Mommy, what's that? And start explaining to them that, when you go out there and you allow any lady to mess you up for a good 18 years, you'll be paying child support. Those are the things. Then I could remember a scenario when my son was in SS1. So we changed the school from there. So in Nigeria, back in Nigeria. So the new school, it's a Catholic school, and they have their own standards that if you are offering any course, all your course must be at this grade. So I tried, I got teacher for him. I know it's good, but at the end of the time, I say, hey, this your first time result and second time, I'm afraid you might not make this grade in physics. We just try to, at the end of the day, he was asked to repeat that class. And when we SS1, and the other younger one too is coming to SS1. So my friends and people are saying, he can't be in the same class with his younger brother. I said, that's what's going to happen. If they ask you to repeat, you are going to repeat. Then some people are advising, take him to another school. Yeah, he's good. I said, no, that school that you feel you are going to repeat there. Though we are going to pay another money, but I don't mind. So I asked him to repeat SS1. He said one time, because I'm always close to their teacher, one time the teacher said, he called him that, why did he say, oh, my parents really tried for me not to repeat. After some time, I think when he got to SS2, he now called me, Mommy, thank you for making me to repeat. That I really got everything, all my science courses. And that has really helped him up till now. Even when he was writing his college essay, it's part of what he wrote about failure or something like that, how failure shape his life. So that is it. If you want to be, if you don't stand your feet on some things about your children, then they will not be able to take that discipline. Let them know the consequence. If you do this, this is what you are going to get. Don't compromise your stand. And thank God for my husband. We are always together. If at times they want to play smart, they go and meet their dad. Their dad say, what did their mom say? Mom, that okay, we discuss. That's it. Because if you are using two standards to train them, then you will not get the result you want to get. But if both of you stand on the same ground, once they know that what mommy say is what daddy will agree on, what daddy say is what mommy will agree on, then the children will be focused and they don't have choice. They just have to do. They will be telling themselves, you better do it, mommy. When you better go and do it, mommy will not agree. So let them know your stand. And at the same time, when you are talking of disciplinary, you should try to bend rules at times to suit them. Like my children, they don't go out, they don't go party. So February, I just said, we're having Valentine party in the house, invite your friend. They were happy. I said we're having pizza party. They call their friends, girls, boys, they are in the house, everybody. I love things like that. I want to see what they are doing in my presence. So when they came in, I said, please, I'm going to take like 15 minutes of your time. Then I will excuse you guys. So I called them. I was explaining what is love. They were looking at me. I said, what do you understand by love? So I was explaining to them, and they said, Mommy, I took Bible. I said, biblical meaning of love. They said, Mommy, you want to preach? I said, I told you 10 minutes. And after everything, I left them. I said, well, this is life, and this is what love is about. So you won't say you don't know. You know now, so you pick the way you want to go. So explain things, communicate things to them. Don't assume they know. Don't assume, just communicate to them. So when they get the other way, then they face the consequences.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Orimolade. Everything you said is so loaded and they are key. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I have gained a lot from what you said now. Thank you. And I'm adding them. I'm taking everything you said. I'm taking it home. Thank you so much. Now let's hear from Mrs. Oche. Mrs. Oche. Yeah, listening.
Okay. Basically, most of what they've said is in line with what I've said, but I want to also add this. We can actually teach our children to be responsible from a little age. I start to make my 3-year-old to lay bed from age 3. He learns how to lay the bed after we get off from bed. I say, okay, lay the bed. He may not lay it well, you just teach him, keep teaching him until he's good at it. So also, one thing I also do is when they come back from school during the week, I personally don't allow my kids to watch TV during the week, and that is personal to me because I felt that it was a bit of a distraction for their work, for them to study and all that. So they can use that part of their brain that they can use to be creative can come out at that point. So they use their Legos to make stuff at the point when they cannot study. So, when they cannot watch TV. So they look forward to the Friday when they watch TV. So on the other days when they don't watch TV, they bring out a lot of creativity with their Lego blocks. They do a lot of stuff that I cannot even imagine because they feel, just a way to keep themselves busy. So really, it helps them to use another part of their brain that they probably wouldn't have used if they're just watching TV. And also another thing is, I also like to make them to clean up after themselves. So as they are doing something, you have littered this place, I'll call you, who left this here? Pick it up. If they learn that when you litter somewhere, when you make something bad, you should also be able to be responsible to take care of it. And it transcends to not just the litters, it's even things in their life. They will know that, okay, you made this happen. You should be able to clean up your mess. So really, those are ways that you can actually teach a child how to be responsible. And also, if you're going to discipline them, I don't have a help. So if I'm going to give them discipline, let me give them a constructive one that will be helpful to me. Maybe do this. At the end of the day, one work has been removed from my work. Don't beat yourself up as a mother if you feel that you told your child to do this and then eventually it's not hidden the way the other parent does it. Don't beat yourself up. Kids are different. At some point, they pick it up and they also start to behave themselves. So really, I feel this had no end to it, actually. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oche. You actually delved a little into the next question, but I'm not going to ask that question. I want to shift it to the... Okay, now, Mrs. Bamidele, I'm bringing you up now. Mrs. Bamidele. Now, our next question, we want to ask you this question. How do women... Okay, now, the question is, how can mothers help define a romantic relationship for their sons? They are growing up. So how can you help them define a romantic relationship for your sons? Did you get that?
Yeah. So far, my children are not of thinking about romantic relationship.
Definitely, they grew up to
but what we're doing as a family to lay good example for them, and first and foremost, what as moms is to let them know that, and when they're having like that, it's normal. It's growing up. You understand? It shows that they are maturing the way they. You understand? But for everything, you understand? So you're thinking about romantic relationship. Time for everything. It's time to be in romantic relationship. There's time to go to school. There's time for everything. So what we're doing as a family now is to show them of what relationship. So my children can never see my dad, their dad and myself arguing in front of them. Yes, we do fighting and all that. We don't say that because we don't want them to have that negative impression that is what it's all about. So there's things that we try to, show them gestures each other in front of them, and they have. You call my children, you ask daddy, who do you prefer? They would both. They can't choose. You understand? That's the kind of balance that bring them that in such a way that no matter what you say about one parent, or you're trying to make them to be they would parent. They, no matter what you say what the way we can define romantic relation is especially to lay good examples for them. So I think whatever we do with boys, it's always examples. They are learning from us on a daily basis. So we're teaching them to house chores, how to be in relationship with girls, teach them how to be in godly relationships. You understand? We're teaching them how to, talk to people, teaching them how to control them. So everything we're doing basic, it's about showing them example. So, and one of the ways is showing them loving the kind of we have with our spouses. We have their families in the picture to have a loving work on our whole relationships as well, so that they will know actually marriage is sweet. Being in a relationship is a sweet thing, and it's a blessing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bamidele. Thank you. Marriage is sweet and is a blessing. Okay, I love that. Marriage is sweet and is a blessing. Now let's hear from Mrs. Orimolade. I have 2 more questions more after this, then we call it a date. Mrs.
Okay, romantic relationship. So many years ago, I call my children, I say, yes, we are growing, that you'll be having feelings for girls. When you see girls, say, mommy, I say, yes, it shows that you are normal. They say, no, I say, it's right. So I let them know. Then another way, I make them to understand that their dad, like my first son, when he's always very emotional at times, and I said, no, you don't do that. Even when he talks to me, I say, you don't talk to a lady like that. You are going to marry, and you can't treat your wife like that. So you can't talk. Do you see your daddy shouting at me? You don't shout on a lady. I try to educate them. I try to tell them how they have to be helpful. I said, okay, you are going to wash dishes. Say, no, mommy. I said, when you get married, you think it's only your wife that will wash. You will wash. There's one of them will say, look at my hand, it's peeling off. I went to the market, I bought him a gloves. Okay, you'll be wearing this, then you wash dishes. And I make a list for them. You have to clean up the house. You have to help your wife. Go. And there is a time I call all of them. I say, okay, who would you like to marry? One said, I would like to marry white. I said, oh, that's fine. Why? I said, okay, if you marry white, you should be able to learn the culture. You don't expect that white to come and kneel down for me or anything, or, He said, yes. I said, the other one said, I'd like to marry a Nigerian so that I can cook jollof rice. I said, well, that's not like you. I said, that's fine, but you don't use that as a yardstick. Anybody can learn how to cook jollof rice. So I try to educate them that you don't marry based on this thing. You marry because of love, and you seek the face of God, and any other thing you can have. Your wife, if you cannot, for love's sake, you will learn how to cook jollof rice and things like that. So daily I help them. I try to gain some things from them by asking them their personal feelings, And when I see that there is one that have a girl in their school, even the one that there is one that they communicate with guests. I go, how are you? I don't say, you can't marry Lagwaja because it's a Nigeria, because it's black, because no, I make them to choose, and I just guide them that anything you are doing in life, just put God first. That's it. So far you are doing well in your academics, you put God first, then every other thing will fall in line. I don't dictate to them that because I like this is the way you should follow. And we are flowing very well.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Orimolade. Loaded. Don't dictate to them. As long as everything is according to God's word. So let it just be. Thank you so much. Now let's hear from Mrs. Oche. Let's hear from
you. My kids are actually young though, but one thing is my kids are young, really. So at this point, they are not thinking about marriage. It is weird if they are thinking about marriage now. But one thing I do for them, because I noticed that the older one is getting, it's getting to that age where you have friends talk about stuff and he would ask questions. So one thing, apart from we showing them examples, in fact, everything. I mean, the way we try to give them a good example at home, and the basis of it is, we are Christians, so really we have to like lay a foundation of, is Christian. I mean, it has to be in line with God's will, God's word, and all that. Then I also will do one thing for my son. If he has questions, I don't make him look bad with the question, no matter how terrible that question might sound. I would always like see him through the question. Okay, okay. So when he talks about girls, I mean, he say, "But this person is beautiful." I say, "Yeah, everybody is beautiful. We are beautifully and wonderfully made by God." And I try to like tell him that, okay, at this age, the beauty is expressed. Everybody sees it. We are all fine. Everybody's beautiful, but you don't go beyond that at this level. It gets to a level when you start to think about things, about stuff, about marriage, about I talk to him about that. I say, "Mommy, I'm not going to get married. I want to stay in this house." Where I said, "No, you can't stay in this house forever. You are still young, but at the time you would get to to get to that point. And at that point, I teach him to like show respect to the people, tell him about the stuff that a woman would always love to see, And then, but apart from that, I don't, at this age, delve too much into it because I don't want him to fill his head with a lot of that stuff at the moment, because I feel that there is time for everything. They are still too young to take in too much. So just a little they can take in. Then also we show them the good example at home. So that's basically it.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oche, Mrs. Bamidele, Mrs. Oche, Mrs. Orimolade. Three of you have said that you show them good examples of how a home should be. And thank you so much. I really appreciate that comment. Thank you so much. Now, I said I have 2 more questions, but I'm not going to ask the other question because the question is actually, what should mothers do to raise boys into responsible and respectable men? What should mothers do to raise boys into responsible and respectable men? But everything we've been saying is, of course, is tilting towards them becoming respectable, becoming responsible men in the future. That is what I've been saying, learning how to do this, learning how to do that, learning rights values. That is what we've been saying, and that is what we've been doing to make sure that your children will grow up to become responsible and respectable. Now I will now go to the last question because you've answered the other question practically. You've answered it. Now the last question is, I posted something. I started this program with, I posted something yesterday on a different social media platform by saying that today's men were the boys that mothers raised. Then how come women are now complaining about men? Men are this, men are that. Every platform that I belong to, you will always hear people, of course, women complaining, "Oh, don't mind those men, don't mind them." Men, they're everywhere in the world. Men, they make men to look as if they are the evil ones. Do you understand? So if Mrs. Oche, Mrs. Ade, Mrs. Orimolade, Mrs. Bamidele, and Mrs. Ladipo, we are the ones that raise these boys. Of course, we are still young now. Our parents raised boys that we married. Do you understand? And we are raising boys. And fortunately, I only have a son. I don't even have a daughter too. I only have a son. So we are all parents of boys. So we are raising boys. Do you understand? So how come women are now complaining about men? Because automatically, these men they are the products of women, isn't it? They are the products because it's the values that they put in them that they are exhibiting. So now the question, answer so that we can close and call it a date finally. Do you want to start?
Yeah, that's right. There are different kinds of parenting actually. You have the authoritative, you have the permissive, you have the uninvolved, and there's also something called the balanced. So, at some point, there are some parents that believe that how to parent a child is by being authoritative. Sit down there, you must sit down, you must not get up, And another one feels that just allow her to do the things that, and those are the kind of children that are, permissive. Those who have given that permissive thing, they tend to just pick up the traits from the streets because whatever the parent really don't give it down. Just allow her to do little things. They graduate to be something else at the end of the day. And then there's another kind of parenting that is called uninvolved. Those are the parents that actually it's not their fault to an extent. because maybe the work is really, really so much. They hardly have time for the kids. They are too engrossed in the work, and so they don't really just ask the help. We have to do this, just So at the end of the day, that's where you see those kids. You see people who have been who have had a bad experience with their help and all that, and they've gotten into all sorts, and and that's because there is nobody really watching. And at that point, those kind of children who are raised from the uninvolved family, they grow up to be something really, really different, which is not the doing as well. Then that is where we have to be balanced in all. As you have been authoritative in some aspects, you still have to like create a balance somehow, so that when your child grows up, you become the picture that you were looking at when you were having that child. That, oh, this is how I want my child to be. It doesn't come automatically. You have to be able to put in some work, and that is where the child comes forth to be what you even want it to be. So apart from that, the parenting doesn't end with the family. They said a woman gives birth to a child, but the whole what is it called? The whole community takes care of the child. So parenting doesn't end with you. The whole community is the one that takes care of the child. So the parenting doesn't actually end with you. It ends with what they also pick up from the streets. But if you give them a good foundation, actually, a good foundation will help them to take some decision. Sometimes it's not for you to give them all the, don't give them everything. Like, don't give them the fish. Teach them to fish or something like that. You don't give them the bait. Teach. Like, let me just give this foundation. Give them a good foundation. If you are telling a child that, if you want a child to be not to be too dependent on you, and you want him to put his dependence on something else, let him depend on God. Actually, if a child comes to me and say, "Mommy, I need this," I say, "Have you prayed?" And before, when I started this, I used to say this just to, buy time. You know how it is. Have you prayed? Just to buy time. But my child will say, "Mommy, I will say, yes, go and pray, because I'm still going to ask the same God to give me the money to give you to buy that stuff." So I not go ahead and tell him. So when I'm telling him, he knows you already told him about it. So it's easy for him to just let it go. And so somehow, at some point, I discovered that my kids now see it as, oh, you have to pray about everything. They pray about every little thing. When there's power outage, you see my kids go to one corner, they are praying. I say, "What are you praying?" I pray for lights. I pray for light. And it does come. So seriously. And you just see there's light, and you prayer works. And that is because I don't want them to be dependent on. There will be times when I will not be around and they need to take a decision. It is that thing that you are putting them that will, So sometimes those men that come forth to be what they are not supposed to be, it's not that some of them are raised from homes that are, that have good values, but maybe it is the way they handed it over to the kids. Well, probably not the best way, and that's why the kids just feel, let me pick what I can pick from the street, and eventually they don't end up. So sometimes, just as I said, it's not the parenting doesn't end with the mother. It's still there's still a whole lot that they pick up from the street, but the foundation that you put in them will help them even when they are faced with such outside.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oche. Thank you so much. Keep watching. It's not enough for you to put the foundation there. Just keep watching and watch through. Thank you so much. Now let's hear from Mrs. Bamidele.
Hi. Yeah, so the foundation is very, very important. My sister, it's important because a child cannot give what he does not have. So it is a child has been that the child will hope to be. So, but I'll just introduce the religious aspect to it. That as parents, as moms, what we can do is teach them. That's all we can do. Teach them and pray that they will what we want them to be by the grace of God. So what we teach them everything to God's hand. But the same still new to our part, to our prayer, not just say, okay, God do it on my part, on my. We teach them at the same time. Be prayerful as well. I believe in the efficacy of prayer. I believe in the prayer. So I'm teaching my part. I'm praying to God to do His own part as well, because I cannot do part and has part and do His God to do His own part. So prayer and part. Together, I believe they will grow up to be responsible men. They will grow up to men that are kind, that love other people the way they should. That's my belief. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bamidele. I really appreciate that. That was exactly what Mrs. Ochetu said. We should learn to pray. And we should learn to give them the right foundation, which you've been doing. Thank you so much. Now let's hear from Mrs. Orimolade before we finally call it.
I support the same point that you should inculcate good values into your children right from when they are young and they grow with it. Like all what we have been saying, how to treat a lady. You don't just shout a lady down. Then when you have housemaid, how do you treat them in front of you? If you are telling them you have to be nice to people and you have housemaid, you are just shouting them down, that you are using double standard. The children got confused. Which one should we believe? Mommy said we should love, but it's not. She's not showing love to our housemaid, you know. But by the time you marry this together, you are saying it and you are doing it. They look at you. They want to go, and the family that they come from, they look at the family pattern. You and their dad. What exemplary role are you playing in the child? We as parents, we should be very conscious of how we live or what we do, because these kids are watching us, and this is Sorosoke generation. They will question you. You say we should not do this. You are doing it, and if you shut them down that way, they look at it that okay, you can live a double standard. But if that is the value your family is following, they will go up to be a responsible husband to their wives.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, this is where we're calling it a date on today's program. I've really heard, not only me anyway, our viewers, all of us, I've heard a lot from Mrs. Oche, from Mrs. Orimolade, from Mrs. Bamidele. Their advice, everything they gave to us has been so apt, very, very apt, because we can say automatically now that the society is a product of what the women have produced. Yes, what we have in the society is as a result of what the women have been able to produce, the value they put in the lives of the men, of their boys, of their children. Do you understand? So for the society to get better and better every day, women has a lot in their hands to do. So we should not hold back. We should not relent. We should just keep doing the best. Like they said, give them the right values. And lastly, we should learn to pray, not just giving them the right values. Buki said we should follow through. Do you understand? Keep watching, and we should all pray. So see that at the end of it, they become good men and respectable men, responsible men, so that we women will not be the one complaining about men are this, men are that, men are this, men are that. Thank you so much. And I really want to appreciate the honor. Mrs. Bamidele, let me bring all of you on and say thank you now, because we are calling it now. Yes, Mrs. Orimolade, thank you for the honor. Mrs. Oche, thank you for the honor. Mrs. Bamidele, thank you for the honor. I really appreciate all of you. God bless you so much. And to all our viewers, I say a big thank you to all of you. And this is where I'll be calling it a day on today's program. So we meet again next Sunday. I remain my humble self and your loyal friend, Oluwatosin Oladimeji Ladipo. Till then, stay blessed and bye. 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 You're not saying goodbye to me.
Bye.
This is Bamidele. You're not saying bye-bye. I want to hear your bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.